Hi, this is Sophie, Simon and Ben from That Final Scene.
Yeah, we just want to give a quick shout out to our friends at Amazon Music where you can find this very podcast.
So, let's dive in, shall we?
I said it before and I'll say it again.
That scene, that last scene.
What does it mean?
I'm the dude, you know?
Get the fuck out of here. No, I cannot. That final scene starts now.
Hello, and welcome back to the That Final Scene podcast. My name is Sophie, and once again, I am joined by my favorite co-hosts, Simon and Ben.
Yo.
Hello. How have you guys been?
You say favourites as if you have a revolving cast that like other people come in when we don't know about. Like maybe every other week that we don't record here, maybe somebody else is on that final scene.
Maybe I got a side hustle of a podcast that you guys are not invited.
What would it be if you had one?
Pottery.
Yours would be pottery.
No, I'm saying Sophie's would be.
Why would it be pottery?
Don't know, just the first thing that popped into my head.
That's so interesting.
That's how Ben pictures you.
I just saw that vase over there in the corner.
I
I have a good
Pottery.
selection of, yeah.
Ben is thinking of the scene from Ghost with the
Very
famous
much so,
pottery erotic
yes.
scene.
Trying to think, I would probably have a podcast about how to not grow plants.
How to not grow plants?
Because I'm the absolute
that work?
worst when it comes to growing plants. I mean, you can
Okay.
clearly see how they've been deteriorating.
Are these real?
They are real.
Is it?
But I just, even though I water them
look
and even
pretty
though I
good.
show them love, they don't seem to last. So I have all the tips because I'm trying very hard and nothing is working. So that'd be my podcast.
What would yours be, Simon?
Something musically related, I think.
Interesting.
One of my favourite podcasts is Song Exploder.
Oh, Song Exploder's so good.
Ooh, yeah. Speaking of... I wanted to say speaking of
Speaking of
exploding.
exploding,
Speaking of things blowing up in your face.
Michael's been over again.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Not exactly. More literally, I'm back on watching franchise films, like big explodey films. I saw
okay.
Ambulance.
Is that the Michael Bay movie?
Yes.
No, I haven't seen it because I don't watch Michael Bay
Explosions
movies.
Overload. Have you seen that film, Simon?
The last Michael Bay film I watched was Transformers, and it was just a
Which one?
constant stream
remember.
of explosions and sound effects.
The first Transformers?
I don't know, it was terrible.
With
Yeah.
Josh Duhamel.
It had
and
so
Shia LaBeouf.
little substance.
I feel like it was that first one of like movies based on toys, you know, properly kicking that off of like, well, Transformers is nothing really, let's make a movie out of it. But then there was Transformers cartoon series, so. But yeah, it is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, he's ridiculous.
Does the ambulance turn into a Transformer towards the end of the movie?
I hate to say it, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed
Is it
Ambulance.
Jake Gyllenhaal and
Yes.
Yahya Abdul-Mateen? I think it is.
I trust you. So the drone work is really fun. So he used a lot of drones for shooting of the film.
This is like my wig work comment. Yes, excellent
This is
drone
my-
work.
So for our movie Top Trumps, we've got wig work, drone work.
Drone work.
Mm-hmm.
We just need one more.
I have a new one. I have a new one with Sweeney Todd because today we're going to be talking about Halloween and we're going to be going through our favorite Halloween films. And the nose acting on this one is very strong. Yes, a lot of
Interesting nose
snarling.
acting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Johnny Depp delivers in that way. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I actually really liked Ambulance. I do think that it was a relatively favored by people compared to other Michael Bay films, but. I'm not saying I recommend it. I'm saying I had a good time watching it.
There is something to be said for just occasionally turning on a movie where it's like
I think so.
explosions for like 2
Yes,
hours.
and let a few of your brain cells really just die.
I remember being hungover once and watching Bad Boys 2 about 4 times in one day because I just kept falling asleep.
Yes.
And I was so determined to get to the end of the film. But I just I'd put it on, but then at different parts in the movie, I'd drift off until I think the 4th or 5th viewing of the day that I finally got to the end. And I was like, what a great movie. And then I ordered pizza. It was a good day.
My one of those is Born Identity.
Oh, yes. So good. I love a bit of Born
So
Identity.
relaxing to watch.
So relaxing.
So relaxing to watch Matt Damon just kick ass for 2 hours.
And it's a hard image to picture when you say it like that. But that
Well,
actually
Matt Damon
works.
kick ass for 2 hours. Yeah.
But it
Well,
actually
and
works.
actually, I think for me now, the new Mission Impossible movies are definitely that. I think we talked about it when we did the Tom Cruise episode. And actually, Top Gun Maverick could probably be one of those too.
Dude.
Where, don't you? Oh, dude, me. Maverick was great. The Mission Impossible movies now are definitely that for me. Like movies that I can just sit and just watch like the explosions for 2 hours.
I love that too. The things that I've been watching, because I was telling Ben before we started recording that I'm officially back on watching films. I'm back on watching TV shows.
Hang on.
I am so surprised she didn't do it sooner.
I am so surprised.
I also watched The Watcher, you guys, finally. I know Ben hadn't heard of it. So it's
Never
the
heard of it.
number one Netflix show at the moment. It's with Naomi Watch and what's his name?
Bobby Cannavale, yeah.
He's really good. I've seen him in Vinyl and a few other things.
Vinyl, that's what he was in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
I'd
really-
forgotten he was in
yeah,
that.
he's really creepy.
He's in Blonde as well.
Oh, he is. Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
I've not watched it though. I
I
just know he's in
haven't
it.
watched Blonde. I'm struggling with that film, but I will. This is from Ryan Murphy, Glee, American Horror Story, American Crime Story, Halston.
I'd imagine as a music person, Simon, you're definitely into Glee.
Always.
And yeah, it's the number one show on the internet right now. It is very classic, like creepy mansion house, horror vibes, like a super wealthy family moves into a creepy house. The neighbors are, super annoying and mysterious at the same time. We're trying to figure out, are you just annoying or are you out to get me? That's a whole like paranoia sort of storyline. And it's like a 7 episodes kind of limited series. Like you get to the end in the 7th episode, but I enjoyed the journey. It's like kind of so that, it's a bit silly and like everyone has a motive, but without any actual reason. And the acting is quite good, but at the same time, you kind of watch it because of it's manipulating you to watching more and more because that kind of like traditional cliffhangers at every episode, which is exactly what I needed this weekend. So it was perfect for me. But the ending was a bit blah because they went down the making a murder storyline, which if you guys have seen that, you're going to get what I'm talking about. But I do recommend if you need something that's like a whodunit kind of show that's just digestible and like quite fun. The other thing that I really, really loved was She-Hulk. I know, Ben, you've been meaning to watch that,
Yes,
right?
I have been. Yeah, I haven't gotten around to it yet, though. I will eventually.
I love the fact that, these Marvel shows are not 1 hour long.
Yes.
Like, Rings of Power or they're just so easy to go through.
Well, that's what I was going to just say about you saying that The Watcher is only 7 episodes. I'm here for TV shows that aren't like 10 episode seasons anymore.
Yeah,
Like I know it's
yeah.
interesting because obviously like US sitcoms and stuff, you get like 30 episodes a season or whatever it is. Whereas like British models, you get like when you think of like The Thick of It, there's like 6 episodes a season of that. And there's 6 episodes a season of the IT Crowd.
Exquisite.
Why can't we just have that? Like watching Hot D at the minute, House of the Dragon, Negroni spagliatos with Prosecco all around. And it's like 10 episodes. Every episode's like an hour long. There's just so much. It's like
The hour, like 1
Rings
hour
of
is a
Power.
commitment.
It's just so much to digest. And then to have to be like, okay, I need to wait another week. Part of me likes having appointment television, but something that's like as kind of intense as House of the Dragon, that's kind of like, oh, okay, I feel like I need to be like taking notes every episode. Or like before I watch the next one, I need to watch like a 10-minute recap video of the previous one just because, I don't know, I feel like binge watching shows over the last couple of years has meant my attention span is getting really shit for stuff like that. Like
Yes.
I can digest it if I can do it all at once. But I need to like train my brain to be able to like hold on to these TV shows for longer,
The last show I watched like that was Homeland. Have you guys seen that?
I binge watched the first
Yeah.
season of Homeland a few years ago and I loved it. I meant to keep watching, but I just fell out of it at the end. I feel like I read stuff that said it kind of went on too long.
I think it did, yeah.
Didn't they do like they kind of did that thing that most shows do, is like gets the end of what feels like should be the logical story end, and then something crazy happens or they get broken out of jail and like Prison Break. It's like Prison Break season 4. They're in prison again, but it's a different prison, and it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake! Like,
It did have a few filler episodes, but I thought the ending was incredible. I really like the ending. I mean, I can see both sides of that. Like, I love the idea of appointment viewing in a way because you can kind of have a routine and you don't see, like, that you're dedicating X amount of time every week to entertainment, like TV shows, that sort of thing. But then I also hear what you're saying in terms of actually waiting for something to finish, because I do find the idea of like starting something from, I don't know, beginning to end quite satisfying.
Do you have any shows that you regret spending so much time with?
yes.
Yeah.
Like what?
Halo. I've said it once, I'll say it again. Halo. To be honest, I kind of felt that way about Rings of Power, maybe.
Yes, we're still early.
It's very long.
It's very long, and I'm not having at this point, I don't want to waste my time, so I kind of have it on the background. So I'm just like
What, while doing the dishes?
making a meal. Yeah, exactly. So it's that kind of show for me. I have 2 good examples of your question. So the first one is The Walking Dead, which I realized they both have the same issue, and the second one being Killing Eve. what they have in common is that they had a certain creator, or at least like key lead writer. Like Killing Eve, it was Phoebe Waller-Bridge. And then I don't remember the guy.
It was Frank Darabont for the first season of Walking
Redemption,
Dead.
right? Yeah, so it had such a clear, like both of them had incredibly strong first seasons because they had a vision. They had the lead writer, and then they lost the writer. And then someone had to replace them because the shows kept making money and they were very popular, like by season 2 or 3. But then they just went downwards. I think Killing Eve, like season 3 and 4 are just terrible. Like the fourth one being absolutely like terrible. And then with Walking Dead, I did stop watching at some point, but I did give it way too many seasons.
I was going to say, how far
probably
did you
7
get?
seasons. Like
So I didn't get that far.
And I didn't hate it from season 3, but I started like really feeling it by season 6.
Even
and that's a lot.
with Walking Dead, I can rewatch the first 2 seasons. I can't do anything after that.
Yeah, no,
even
I feel you.
from season 3, about
feel you.
halfway through season 3, I was like, hang on, this season is about 10 episodes too long. Certain things I think it's easier to get out of. It's hard with stuff like The Walking Dead, which had such a like huge following for like a really long time.
Of course.
Like The Walking Dead still has like so many fans and so much has come from it. I think it's a lot harder with a show like that because you stop watching and then you see people talk about it online and you immediately go, oh shit, yeah, fuck
Was
off,
I wrong?
crap,
Yeah.
that's what they did. And then it kind of that like lures you back into it, I think.
Yeah, Killing Eve, I think same thing. I just want to see what happens in the end. Also, like, I was begging for some sort of redemption. As in, surely that's not it. Surely there's gonna be a big aha moment in the end where I'm gonna like take all my, I don't know, it's gonna restore my faith to the show. And no, it just made things worse.
But that was like Lost did the exact same thing.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, I think
yeah.
Lost for me is the archetype of that of like, it's going to be a better ending, right? It's not going to be that. And then it ends and it's been 6 years and it's 4:00 in the morning because you got up to watch the screening at the same time as the US and you have to go to school in 3 hours and you're really tired. You just hate Damon Lindelof and everything he's ever done. And then he does Watchmen and everything's fine again. But it's...
Was 24 before or after Lost? I can't
24
remember.
was before, I think.
Was
Or around the
24
same
the
time.
first?
Before. It's heavy US propaganda. Like,
Yeah,
it's, like you love to see it.
Yeah. It's funny because me and my girlfriend watched Designated Survivor a while ago.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Which is basically...
Is it good? I
no,
wonder
it's
what
not.
it
It's absolute dog shit.
gash.
It's actually, it's one of those ones...
I want to watch it so bad.
It was one of those ones that we just watching it till the end and being like, it's going to get better.
Like, were you 1 season in, 2 seasons
Oh,
in?
no, we only got to the end of the first
15.
season. I think we watched like maybe the first episode of the second season. It was just like, I can't do another 10 episodes of this fucking
What's the
peril
worst
shit.
part about it? What doesn't work? Is there anything that works actually?
There's constant peril. There's this stupid storyline. It's like, well, he shouldn't even be president. Like he's like education
That's right.
secretary or something like that.
Because
So
he's
this-
the last man standing.
Yeah, the term designated survivor is supposed to be like, sir, you are the designated survivor because everybody's dead, so you have to take over because he's like tourism secretary or something like that.
So
you
about
get
housing.
housing. That's what it is. And the stupid thing is that then they have these scenes of him being president, and he's like, I really can't wait to push through that housing bill I was going to. You're like, oh God, stop trying to make it this boring political drama while also being like someone's trying to kill you at the
It's
same
in
time.
my same category as Olympus Has Fallen and also
Yes,
White
that's
House
exactly.
Down.
Yeah,
Oh, it's that
Yeah, that's
bad.
it's
Oh yeah,
that,
it's
yeah,
exactly
it's
the
that kind of vibe.
same sort
Yeah.
of vibe as that.
100%.
There's something addictive about shows like Designated Survivor because they're so rhythmic in the writing.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like,
exactly. There's a
it's
formula.
like
There's a
Suits is very
formula,
similar,
yeah.
where the writing has its own rhythm, and you can basically follow the cadence
Yep.
of it
Yeah.
without knowing what's
That's
going to happen.
That's what the blacklist is like.
Simon, I know you have thoughts on Matilda that you watched in London
yeah.
Film Festival.
Wait, oh yeah, you never saw it, did you?
I didn't make it in.
Sophie,
didn't,
what happened?
Well, the story that I'm going with is that the alarm didn't actually ring. So I missed the alarm.
Sure.
Yeah,
it
sure.
didn't.
That's
So I was
the story I'm
in
going
this
with.
queue about 3 miles long in Leicester Square at 7:30 in the morning to watch Matilda.
with a flag on your bag, so
Yeah.
yeah.
To
To be more specific, Roald Dahl's Matilda. That's the official title of the
Okay.
Is
film.
that the
Yeah.
official? Is it okay? Interesting. So give us general thoughts.
So yeah, I found it quite dark. I was quite surprised about how it was lacking in fun and humour. And a lot of it was quite cruel.
Interesting.
The songs are quite hard to follow. So I really wanted to like...
Interesting.
I found the whole thing quite sterile and There was no, Roald Dahl, like a lot of kids' stories are quite dark, and like nursery rhymes are quite dark. They often come from quite dark places. And then in Roald Dahl, the secret has always been balancing it with humor and silliness. And this film just didn't, for me, strike that balance between the silliness and the darkness.
I'd be interested for you to see the stage show then, because obviously this is based on the stage show, and I saw that a couple of weeks ago, and I probably would have said the opposite. I thought like it does kind of strike that nice balance. I think it probably depends on like the performances and stuff like that.
And I know you had a conversation with Simon, like a friend of mine who also was in the same screening as you, and he actually loves the musical, the stage show. And he had a very similar opinion to you. I think he didn't like the film for different reasons, but he still didn't like it. And I think he was saying the same thing about it being very gloomy and just not being able to. I think
we spoke about this a little while ago, is that it is interesting how you try and translate a stage play to a film. Like there just is that element of it being live in a stage show, and that everything kind of has to be there and ready to go. With like a movie, you can cut it, you can do different lighting, you can do different everything, you can change the sound and like in post and stuff like that to tweak, and you can change the tone of a film entirely just by like changing the lighting and stuff like that, or changing the editing. Whereas like a stage show has to just flow from start to finish, which probably helps it keep that charm, because it has to be kind of snappy and punchy. Interesting that you feel like it kind of maybe loses that a little bit, which is why, as I say, I would encourage you to maybe go and see the stage show.
Yeah, well, you should go and see it, and I'll go and see the stage thing, and we can compare notes.
Yeah, that would be good. I think that would be good. Let's do that.
Nice. And you, Ben, what have you been watching?
Yeah, as I said, I've been watching Hot D. I'm going to just
sounds like D means dick, but it doesn't.
I know, I know, but it doesn't. It's Hot D. Which, I'm enjoying. I haven't watched episode 9 yet because I was away in Ireland over the weekend.
Finale?
No, there's 2 left. But Game of Thrones, again, is very formulaic in that Game of Thrones episode 9 is always the big set piece. Without fail, every year. Episode 9 is, if there's a big battle, it'll be in episode 9. And then 10 is like tying plot holes together, setting up the next season. So I haven't watched it yet, but I will. I plan on watching it maybe tomorrow if I can. Lord of the Rings as well, Rings of Power. I'm just really tired with it. I just haven't watched the ending of it. Yeah. It's been partially spoiled for me online, so I kind of know one of the big secrets of it, and I don't really care that I know that, because I'm just kind of like, it's really, really dragging on. Finished Bad Sisters. I mentioned that in the podcast the other week, which it's an interesting one.
It's an Apple TV Plus, right?
Yeah, Apple TV Plus. It's all set in Ireland. It's it's a really good cast. So it's Sharon Horgan, Eve Hewson, the guy from Good Luck to You, Leo Grand, is in it, and Brendan Gleeson's son, I think it's Jack Gleeson, is in it. So like really, really good cast. But unfortunately, it's one of those ones that the ending was very predictable. Like I was hoping it would have a Broadchurch kind of ending where you get to it and it is lit, like, I don't know if both of you have seen Broadchurch, but like it's completely out of left field. You're like, holy fuck, like I did not expect that, and it's incredible and it's dramatic. It was kind of like from the start, it was kind of, you could have predicted that was the way it was going to go. So a little bit of a letdown, like a nice season overall. I thought it was good. Like it's kind of good to watch, and my favorite thing about watching it is being like, we chatted about this, obviously being home in Ireland. We watched with my girlfriend's sister and her partner, because they've been watching it as well.
You're in sync.
Yeah, and they were just like, do you guys watch it and just think, hang on, but they're in that part of Dublin and now they're in this part, and travelling all around, similar to, like if you watch a movie that's set in London, you go, hang on, it definitely doesn't take 5 minutes to walk from there to there, and you're like, that's different parts of the city. Like it's been it was fun to watch it like that, which I tend to do with Irish movies. But yeah, just been kind of watching a lot of TV, and obviously in preparation for this episode, watched Cabin in the Woods. And I've watched Shaun of the Dead again, because I just fucking love that movie, and it's I know I picked Cabin in the Woods for this episode, but Shaun of the Dead probably is my favourite. There's a lot coming out in the next couple of weeks though that I really want to see. Like I think I was saying earlier, this movie coming out in the weekend called The Banshee of Inisherin, which I really want to see, and The Wonder, which you said you saw on LFF, I really want to see that as well. So lots coming out to talk about soon.
Speaking of Edgar Wright, I saw him in the C-Said premiere. So C-Said is
She Said?
Yeah, I think it's from Maria Schaefer.
Maria Sharapova.
No.
That's what I thought you were going to say. Tennis player.
Yeah.
I really like the direction, which is why I wanted to get the name. Maria Schrader. Sorry. So it's coming out on November 25th, at least in the US and the UK.
Yeah, we spoke about this. This is the Harvey Weinstein movie.
Yes. So it's about the two reporters that broke the very first story about the allegations and then the abuse and everything.
It looks kind of similar. If you've seen Spotlight, it looks kind of similar to Spotlight.
All President's Men. It's investigative journalism. It's really, really good. It's with Carey Mulligan and Zoe Kazan. What was interesting, because I was in the premiere, there was they introduced the film and there were, I think, 3 survivors in the screening as well. So It's so interesting to think that they would have to see the film on the big screen with so many people on the same screen. It was like quite heavy. Like you could tell like the atmosphere just changed instantly because they asked him to stand up and it was like
made it more real.
Yeah, very, very, very real. Definitely recommend that. Edgar Wright was there. We're talking about how he's now the governor of BFI.
Yeah, he's the governor. He's like a BFI governor, yeah.
That sounds like a cool title.
Thanks for the ticket, Edgar. Thanks for laying us in.
Right.
Yeah, I love a bit of Edgar Wright.
Sorry for being rude about Matilda.
That's not his film.
That's not his film, don't worry.
He probably doesn't care. But just a quick correction. It's Anne-Marie Duff. And she lives in Chiswick. Okay, I know we have a lot more to go through with London Film Festival, but I might just, I don't know, like use the next couple of episodes to just go through some of my picks. Just kind of like try to process them a little more, and I would like to do some actual writing.
What would you say is the film that was the hot film of the whole festival?
What do you mean by that?
Which one has the most buzz? Yeah, which is the one
Glass Onion, like it was the hardest one to get tickets. Like it was really, really the most popular one. And I would say second would be The Whale with Brendan Fraser, who's most definitely getting the Oscar this year.
The Frasergents.
It's happening. We need to do a Brendan special.
We should watch The Mummy. We should definitely watch them. Oh my God, we should do the trilogy.
Yeah.
Simon, you for watching the Mummy trilogy?
No.
Oh, okay.
Would I be up for it?
Yeah.
I would do. Yeah. So I get Cleatman, have I watched it?
We should do it together. We should do it together.
Yeah.
Maybe we should live podcast the
Yeah.
Director's commentary.
Especially the second one with The Rock as the Scorpion King. You're going to love it. It's going to be great.
I was actually thinking while I was watching Decision to Leave at LFF, I wish there was someone next to me explaining to me what the hell was going on.
I thought you were going to say, as I was watching Decision to Leave, I really wished The Rock was in it. This movie would be so much better if Dwayne Johnson was in it.
What is the hype around The Rock? Why is he like the most famous person in the world?
He just does blockbuster after blockbuster after. He just does like inoffensive, family, fun kind of movies.
And I also think he's, at least what he, I don't know, puts out there, like he's a solid guy. Like he's a good
he does
dude.
Seem like a nice
he's not
guy.
like
Wholesome.
Yeah, he's that. And I feel people like that.
Is he an all-American hero?
I don't think he's even trying to be that. I feel like he's been very open with his mental health. I think he has that kind of more self-aware and a persona anyway. I don't know if that's him actually, but
yeah, it's interesting.
Like
I follow him on Instagram, and it's quite funny because like a lot of stuff that he puts up on Instagram feels really staged. To be like, oh, I was driving home and I saw these kids on the side of the street dressed as me from a movie, so I got out of my car to say hi. You're like, you really that really didn't happen. Like that kid has been paid to be there.
Yeah.
But he does seem like a really nice guy, The Rock, in fairness. Yeah. Having said that, I feel like if you go back and watch all WWE stuff, there's probably some... with most WWE things, there's probably some problematic stuff there from the late 90s, early 90s.
Cancellation on the cards.
You live and you learn. I think that's my
what
motto.
Happens when you're dropping people's elbows around the place.
Oh my God. So with that, we're going to take a short break and we're going to be back with Donnie Darko, Cabin in the Woods. Is it The Cabin in the Woods or A Cabin in the Woods?
I think it's just Cabin. I think it's just Cabin. I think it's just Cabin in the Woods.
A Cabin in the Woods and Sweeney Todd, the demon barber of Fleet Street.
Oh, look, a message from our sponsor.
G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it.
Nah, yo, hold my poodle. Hey, yo, what's up? Y'all got a problem? Y'all want some of this?
Without much further ado,
Here we go again.
I know we were talking about this earlier, Ben, but you said you're a Christmas person and I'm a Halloween person.
Yes.
So this is very exciting for me. We're going to be talking about our, I want to say, favorite Halloween films, but in the process, we did find out that each one of us has a different favorite Halloween film. So
I think it's more so for as a Halloween movie that if somebody asked me for like a suggestion, I'm not necessarily giving my favorite one. I'm giving you the one that I'd be like, I think this is what you like for a Halloween night. I think it's a good. This will be the one that I'd put forward to watch.
That's a better way to frame it, because I also I have a lot of favorite Halloween films. I can't pick one, but yeah, I think we all picked our favorite for, or like the suggestion for a reason. And we actually went on Instagram and we asked you guys to pick your favorite from the three. And unsurprisingly, Donnie Darko came on top by 48%.
Boom.
So
Almost 50% of the audience there. So
Simon, you're a winner. People are obsessed with Donnie Darko on my page. I mean, I do think that it's a wider cinephile trend.
100%.
But it was interesting. 31% Cabin in the Woods.
Thank
Yours,
you.
Ben.
Cabin in the Woods.
In the woods.
And I am the not so sure loser with Sweeney Todd, but with 21%. But I'll take it.
That's not too bad. That's
It's not
that's
too
a
bad.
good
It's not
split.
like 5%.
Yeah.
It's not like 5%. It's like 21%.
I feel like when we did the Tom Cruise poll, like there was some really like I think maybe Simon's choices got like 90% or maybe it was yourself. Your Sophie's got like 80% of the votes, and it felt like a fix. But
right, yeah,
I'm happy with that split, and I think Donnie Darko is to be expected.
Yes,
choice.
definitely. And I like the fact that we can go each one of us and talk about their pick and why they picked the film. But I think with Donnie Darko, it was interesting because I got quite a few DMs to that story by people saying, Donnie Darko is great, but it's not a Halloween film. And I'm like, hey, hold on a second.
I agree with that though.
Wait a second. The film literally countdowns to Halloween night.
Just because the film has Halloween scenes in it doesn't mean it's a Halloween film.
But it's so Halloweeny. Like the very first scene is Donnie Darko biking his way through like Halloween, like decorations. It feels very Halloweeny. Basically, what I was gonna say is that the very first question for you is, what is a Halloween film in your view?
I was never brought up much with Halloween, but I always think of it as a very kind of like trashy event.
There you go. That's
and so
interesting.
I would go for something like Scream, and that feels like really fun and silly.
It's a slasher, silly,
just completely over the top.
I think you say Halloween movies and people go to like John Carpenter and like the Halloween movies, but actually they're not really Halloween movies. They're like horror movies. They're like gore movies. And then it's like Halloween movies can actually be a lot more like, like stuff like, I'm trying to think of, like Hocus Pocus even, which is like a kid's movie, is a Halloween movie because it's about witches. Like The Witches Roald is a Halloween movie because it's about like, maybe that's where we've fallen down here, is that one of us should have picked like a kid's one. But Halloween doesn't mean like 18s plus, like horror, scary movies. It can be like trashy, but it can be like all encompassing as well, because there's like kids Halloween movies and there's adult Halloween movies, and there's ones that are like funny and there's ones that are subversive and there's ones that are horror-y.
Well, I think for the, for those of you listening, you're going to agree with me about Donnie Darko being a Halloween film if you think Die Hard is a Christmas film, because that's the same argument that I'm making.
Yeah, I do feel like it's a bit Christmas.
And it said, see, it's not.
There you go.
And
But
it just
like-
said on Christmas Day.
But it's like, it's a warm, family-friendly film
Halloween-
you can watch on the sofa.
Yeah.
Some of these Halloween suggestions, they're
Donnie
terrifying.
Darko is I had so many nightmares with that bunny, like the rabbit, like Frank. So creepy. The teeth as well.
It's very similar to the bunny in Sexy Beast, do you not think?
Where?
The film Sexy Beast.
The Ray
Ben
Winston film.
Kingsley. Ray Winston.
I haven't seen
No
it.
way, have you not seen it? It's very similar,
Really? Did it come out before?
like when I was a kid.
Oh,
I don't
Sexy
know.
Beast came out in like the early 90s maybe?
Oh, right. So,
Yeah, it's
so
old.
Donnie Darko, maybe Richard Kelly was inspired by Sex, maybe. Because Donnie Darko came out in 2001, right? I think.
It came out just around 9/11.
2001.
Yeah.
So, do you want to give us because you have mentioned Donnie Darko a couple of times. Like, do you want to give
I
your
love
story?
it, but I feel like I'm not qualified to actually break it down.
You don't have to break it down. Just like why do you like it? Like, how many times you've watched it? Like, what do you think about it generally? How do you feel about it?
I've watched it loads of times and I still don't really feel like I know what's going on.
Amazing. What keeps you going back?
It's a story of a troubled teenager that's on medication. And,
Supposedly.
And he's I think it's a story of somebody that's like not heard.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really, really frustrated. He's like a bit of an outcast. All the feelings of being a teenager brought together in his character. He's also a hero because he saves the family by killing himself in the end.
Yep. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert,
The
there you go,
belated
yeah.
one.
Yep.
It's an endings podcast. If you weren't expecting spoilers, back off.
There's satire in it. There's politics. 'Cause it's set in 1989, I think. And it's very clear about what's going on politically in America at that time. And Donnie's mum and dad are kind of part of building that world. And also, there's an amazing character played by Patrick Swayze, who's like a paedophile
Tim Cunningham.
He's like a sort of
Self-help,
he's like
almost like motivator. Yeah, like a public,
motivational speaker.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love that storyline of Donnie outing this guy for what he is. And then, it's all held together with perhaps some time travel and some strange...
When has a story ever been held together with time travel? My God.
So it's got satire, humour, teenage angst, politics, time travel. It's a very, very clever script and film, I think.
This is one of the things that I love about this film is that it's a coming of age story with sci-fi and it's a comedy at times. Like it's very funny at times. Very dark, but and then to your point, hints of drama as well. So it's not a genre movie, which I love. Like it's a bit of everything. And it
what would you
works
say it is? I don't even know how to describe it.
Like for me, I think usually it tends to be classified as sci-fi, but I do think it misses out so many elements of like the real aspect of the struggles that the characters are going through are very real.
It's a coming of age drama that uses science fiction as like the vessel, but it's not actually the story. It's like it just uses that to tell this more interesting kind of coming of age story.
And I guess that's how it's cleverly layered, because you're wondering whether you're seeing it through the prism of Donnie's mind or whether it's happening in the real world, and you don't know where one begins and the other one ends.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is a very good point actually, because just like with Blade Runner, Donnie Darko has the director's cut, which is very different to the theatrical cut. And people usually, the more commercial version is the theatrical cut, which is more like teenage angst driven, because the way the story is told in the theatrical cut is like, so we're not quite sure whether this guy is, crazy or not, and we're gonna give you like piecemeal information throughout the film, and you're gonna get the background story of a few characters, but at the end you're still not quite sure whether he's...
Leave it open to interpretation.
I feel like the theatrical cut doesn't give you the whole story. While I feel like if you see the director's cut, it's much more of a sci-fi film, because you get a lot of the mythology behind the time travel aspect of the film, because all of it can be explained through the, that book that Grandma Death wrote, like Roberta Sparrow. You remember the grandma that...
The old lady that lives in the...
Her name, nickname Grandma Death, that has supposedly written the book, The Philosophy of Time Travel. And we get hints of it in the theatrical cut. And it is at this point where Donnie starts to, realize that, hey, I may not be crazy. Like, I might be onto something here. And that's when he goes back to his teacher and he starts asking about time travel.
I love that teacher character.
Yeah,
he's so
good.
kind.
And in the director's cut, we actually get passages from the novel, and we get a full explainer as to, what has happened, like the primary universe, the tangent universe. I don't even want to go like into the details of it all, but I've been obsessed. Like I went through like the rabbit hole literally back in the day when I first watched that film. So I do recommend you see the director's cut if you haven't, because the director's cut is like, Donnie Darko is not crazy. What he's experiencing is very real. Let's take you through the story of what has actually been happening. And he takes you, like Richard Kelly, through that story. Yeah, it's interesting how you cut something, like how different the film, comes across in a way.
Because the bunny could almost be like testosterone. And it's like, it's a metaphor for his teenage brain, like telling him to do mad shit.
100%. Or, I think one of the most prevailing theories for people that haven't looked into the, time travel aspect of the film, I don't even know if time travel is the right, term.
I'm not sure either.
I think parallel universe is a better term, because it's like
multiverse.
It's very
Stop it.
It's very multiversy because basically the tangent universe created because there is some sort of, I don't know, anomaly in the primary universe, and therefore Donnie Darko
like
has to
the
save the world.
TVLA and Loki.
Yeah, it's very much so. Donnie
Very Marvel.
Donnie Darko is a very superhero name, to be fair.
Am I ruining this for you now, Simon?
It's untouchable, Ben. Doctor Strange has nothing on Donnie.
The one thing I wanted to call out, though, was Drew Barrymore's performance. I love her in that film. It's like she's his teacher. And
She's wicked.
She's really, really good.
Imagine being the writer-director. It's his first ever feature film. And then he knocks out that.
It's crazy.
What has he done since? Do we know? Richard Kelly?
The Box, is it called? 2009?
Oh, is it? With Cameron Diaz. And
Yeah, I've not seen it.
It's good. Oh, wow, that's good.
Okay.
It's a good film. And Michael Madsen? From X-Men? The
Cyclops, James Marsden.
Yes, it was James Marsden. Okay, there you go. Yeah.
No, James Marsden. Is it James Marsden?
I think the box... Is it not... I think the box
Oh my
is...
God. Yeah, hang on. Yeah.
I have a
This is
feeling...
the bit you have to cut this bit out now in the edit time.
Wait, what are you trying to find out?
Yes, Cameron Diaz, James Marsden, Frank Langella, whatever, and Gillian Jacobs. It is by Richard Kelly. You're right. Wow, okay.
Look at Sophie being surprised that I've been right about it's my first film fact I've been right about.
It's a very small... it's not super small. But yeah, let's move on to Cabin in the Woods.
I'm interested to know what you thought, Simon, because you saw it the first time. I mean, the reason I put it forward is, and pretty weird to say this on a Halloween special episode, but as you said, I'm a Christmas person. I'm not really into like horror movies, to be perfectly honest. It's not my jam. I'm not into like slasher movies, and like I'm not going to be seeing Halloween Ends or whatever the fuck it's called. Like that's just not for me.
Good.
But Cabin in the Woods is one of the few horror fit movies that I quite enjoy because I don't really see it as a horror movie, or which is kind of why I see it more as a Halloween movie, because it takes a lot of just like tropes. It kind of is turning the mirror on, you know, Halloween and horror movies and the tropes of them all. Like I know you, Simon, you said that it's kind of redeemed by its third act, and I think that's the whole point, is that like the first two acts of the movie, it's this kind of crappy, like...
It's kind of like an American Pie / road trip intro.
Exactly.
Half-naked girls, boys in the shared house, all hanging out, being really broy.
I want to make a note here, though. I do think that the characters in the film, even though they are being cut to be perceived that way, they are actually more nuanced than your casual. Like I remember one of the opening scenes when they go to the cabin and they're like one friend of theirs, like he's super stoned. And
the one that's like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like Shaggy from
Sorry,
Scooby-Doo.
Shaggy,
Yeah. Well, they all kind of do look like the gang. Like there's the redheaded girl, and then there's like Chris Hemsworth's character who kind of looks like Fred.
Yeah, and
you know?
they're all very concerned about him taking drugs, and they want to make sure that he's okay. Like, I don't think you would see that in your like casual 80s slasher film. And I do feel like one of the points that the directors are trying to make is actually we are putting those people in the boxes the moment we see them, because we are being primed by that genre.
The movie itself is trying to put them in the boxes, in the idea at the end that you have to have these, whatever, the 5 or 6 sacrifices that it is, of like the athlete, the virgin, the joke. Like it's putting it in those boxes.
Yeah.
And actually the two characters that are left are the two that are, you know, are the ones that the most are pushing against that, who become like the heroes, but then quite nicely in the movie just getting stoned on the steps, being like, oh well, fuck it, like we might as well smoke the weed at the end of it. Like it's quite nice because, as you say, the whole point of the movie is that you put these people in these boxes, but then it does kind of turn it around. And also I really like the kind of science fiction elements to it, of like there's this organization under the ground that, you know,
Stephen Gary.
that is Stephen Gary, that have been running this for years, that this happens every year. It's this thing that they have to do to basically keep the world going. And that I love that it's like, it is just like, okay, the end of it is every kind of horror movie monster you can imagine.
Yes.
There's the little girls, there's the guy that looks like Pinhead from Hellraiser, there's like the vampire bats, there's the zombies,
werewolves,
there's the people in like every single horror trope you can think of, they just put it in there. And it just goes, okay, now we're going to do the bit where it becomes a traditional horror movie and everything is so bloody. It's like The Shining, like the blood coming out of the lifts, and it goes to absolute 90 at the end of it. But then the world ends. I like the fact that they don't save the day and nothing happens. It's just it gets to
like
the end
the
of it and a massive hand just comes out of the ground and just smashes
that's
the
so
house.
clever because in that moment, right at the end of the film, the camera becomes a character in the film because the camera has to be grabbed by the hand for the film to end. And it's so clever because then it's like, well, there's nothing left now. The camera's been got.
Yeah,
so the film has to stop.
There's so many nice kind of just
my favorite bit
twists and turns in it.
With the first initial cutaways to the guys controlling all the action.
They're brilliant.
And there's a scene where there's the one-way mirror between two bedrooms in the cabin.
Yeah.
And as the girl starts taking off her clothes and you're like, oh, what's going to happen? And then everyone in the control room that's like behind everything is like starting to like cheer and clap. And then it all doesn't happen and everyone starts booing and then they have to like get on with their real job.
It's like it's like they're watching the horror movie.
Yeah, it's great.
It's like
fun.
we're kind of they're almost like, in a way, Steve and Gary are kind of the audience. And it's not too jumpy, it's not too kind of like jump scary and stuff like that. It is just like,
because it's funny, I think it does feel Halloween-y to me. Like it does feel compliant with a fun Halloween night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is kind of a fun one to watch. And then obviously it gets to the end and it just ticks all those boxes for, okay, well, if you didn't like I think is it the zombies or something? I can't remember what it is that is kind of chosen to kill them. I can't remember what it is, but it just gets to the end and it's like, okay, and here's the roulette wheel of all the monsters that you could have won and then every single one of them at once. And it's just,
I do think that if I were to pick one for this year, it would be that one, just because like there's like, as you guys were talking, I was thinking of so many parallels to what's happening in the world today. Like the idea of, to your point, like seeing someone dying in front of you and like the only thing that you can think of is how to optimize the scenario. Like we are so desensitized by like horror and like tragedy. Like and then like we go to the I don't know, online every day and like we see all that horror and we're like, yeah, whatever, like next video. There's like this kind of notion. I do think that it's more relevant than ever. And also the idea of the meta-ness, if that's a word, of it. Like now like it's so trendy, but I do feel like it's doing something very different in that regard compared to other films fairly recently, like The Matrix or Scream, that have done the whole meta thing, but they've done it in like third person kind of way where they've just talked about the meta thing, the characters, like, oh, let's talk about the other universe. Cabin in the Woods, it's doing that without saying it. Like it literally created a universe within a universe to tell that. It showed, not tell. Exactly. It's
clever.
exactly that.
And I think Steve and Gary are probably the ones that carry the film in that regard. And they're the ones that make it funny, that make it kind of relatable in a way to be like,
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen this film, Steve and Gary are like in the basement of this building.
The engineers.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they're controlling all the action that happens in this.
Yeah, because it's
cabin.
basically, it's that every year they have to orchestrate these kind of, I can't remember if it's 5, I think it's 6, is it? No, it's 5. These sacrifices of like the sacrificial lambs of what, I think I said it but at the start, like of what they should be. And they're the ones who orchestrated with like pheromone mist. And there's all these different creatures that they can possibly use to kill them.
And it's a sort of metaphor of the studio and then the viewer, right? Like the ancient ones is the viewer in a way. Us are the ones that have such high demands and just like trying to. It's interesting. My one criticism of that film that I think you just alluded to was I do feel like the funny parts do work a lot more for me rather than the scary bits.
But to go back to what you were saying before about the darkness, like how it being a story for our times, I think that chimes with Matilda as well. In the, we've seen Batman be reinvented in this new dark way, James Bond being taken down this dark, more grittier route. And it felt like with Matilda, the same happened. And it's like Cabin in the Woods is a reminder that you can still be funny. And it's still really important to have a bit of lightheartedness and humor and stuff. And I think things have gone a bit in this latest cycle of this trend of darkness and grit and things being a bit more real, I suppose. I think we've lost a bit of humor and a bit of fun. And I hope that comes back. Like a bit of silliness.
Everything needs to be gritty.
I agree. I'm with you. And I feel like the world needs a bit of, needs to last more than ever. So this is a nice segue for Sweeney Todd, my pick for Halloween, because like as you were talking, I was thinking of the funny bits of Sweeney Todd, but I feel like there are quite a few as well. Okay, so I had to pick the summary on IMDb because it doesn't sound right and I want to like make a joke out of it. The legendary tale of a barber who returns from wrongful imprisonment to 1840s London, bent on revenge for the rape and death of his wife, and resumes his trade while forming a sinister partnership with his fellow tenant, Mrs. Lovett. This doesn't make... I mean, this is just like...
So the story is Johnny Depp, who plays Sweeney Todd, like at the start of the film, is coming back to London. You see, he comes in on a ship through the mist
it's Pirates of Caribbean, but
into
like,
old London town, And basically he's coming back because he was sent away by Judge Turpin, who is Alan Rickman.
Legend.
Good callback for Die Hard as well. And he's basically wants to come back and get revenge on him, and he used to be a barber, and basically what he does is he strikes up a friendship with Helena Bonham Carter's character, and he starts... It's weird. It's kind of like, is he practicing for a while, but he's basically slitting people's throats, and then she turns the bodies into pies and sells them in the pie shop, and they become really successful. And
yeah. Well, obviously you have the musical. I haven't seen it.
And it's a musical.
It's by Sondheim, so it's iconic. The stakes are quite high, but then again, we kind of know Tim Burton's going to do his whole like Tim Burton thing, so you know what to expect. I picked this film for a few reasons. Well, number one, it's Harry Potter without J.K. Rowling. So like a really good one. Like you have Alan Rickman, you have Timothy Spall, you have Helena Bonham Carter, you kind of have Johnny Depp, who's, I mean, very problematic, but a good actor. And you don't have
Vecna's in there. Jamie Campbell Bowers from Stranger Things.
Yes, that's a good shout. It's a good shout. So you have Harry Potter, a la creme, without having the boring, like wizardy stuff.
No excessive elvenness.
Yes, exactly. No. None of it.
But I still like the film, though, even though there's no elven nature to it.
I do think Alan Rickman is the highlight of the film, but I just think he does so much introspective work. I feel like he's the only one that kind of gets that this is a stage show, so let's try to be more theatrical with it.
I would say Sacha Baron Cohen does that as well, though.
Oh yeah, maybe because it's smaller.
Because his whole character is like Sacha Baron Cohen's character is he's playing a man who pretends to be Italian to be the best barber in the world, and then you get him backstage, and he's like this really Cockney accent, and he's like, and he's brilliant. He's really good, and he Sacha Baron Cohen has an amazing singing voice. I think it was after really Sweeney Todd that was when they started talking about him for Freddie Mercury. I think it might have been around then or after then that there was talk, that he'd be in the biopic and he'd be playing Freddie because he's fucking brilliant. Like you wouldn't actually expect it. And Johnny Depp can't really sing. He like outsings him in that duet that they have and outacts him in certain ways as well.
Yeah, I feel like Cohen does this. He's really good in anything where he's playing a supporting role. I like Alan Rickman a lot because he's playing, some difficult acting in the context of being angry and betrayed in a way that's, when you're in a theater, you may not be having any dialogue and you can just see the acting in someone's face in a way. And I feel like this is maybe that's, I don't know, credit to the direction as well. That was quite good.
Rickman does excellent teeth acting. If you ever watch it, I'm always
That's
obsessed
true.
by Alan Rickman's lower jaw and his teeth. He's always like really expressive with his mouth.
That's true.
What's your ultimate Alan Rickman appearance?
Die Hard, hands down.
Love Actually.
Oh no, he's such an arsehole.
I
know he's a terrorist in Die Hard, but he's even worse in Love Actually. I would say he's a worse person in Love Actually than he is in Die Hard.
He does that incredible. I don't know, really, really well.
Oh, you can't tell me all those one-liners in Die
Is he
Hard
the world's
don't make
best
you
baddie?
melt. Yes,
Yes.
he is. Or his Sheriff of Nottingham in
Well, that's my
Robin
one.
Hood, Prince of
Robin
Thieves.
Hood, Prince of Thieves is my
Good.
Yeah,
my
he's
favorite.
brilliant as the Sheriff of Nottingham.
That's
He's so
really
good.
And the second reason I picked the film is because you guys talked about the 80s slasher films and how, like, Ben, you're not much of a Halloween person, but, you chose to go with a film that kind of encapsulates what Halloween is all about, which is the silliness of it, but also the horror of it. And maybe that was the Greek way of, like, observing Halloween every year, but Tim Burton has always been a huge director and like creator when it comes to Halloween, at least in Greece. Like we would always have Tim Burton films on, like Beetlejuice and Corpse Bride and Edward Scissorhands. Like all of these films were just a very big part of Halloween every year. So I went with Sweeney Todd because it is my favorite Tim Burton film in a way. Maybe with Corpse Bride up there because it does tragedy and I don't want to say humor because they're very dark, but that kind of self-referential. And
the songs are great. The songs are really catchy.
They're really good. Even though, like, as you said, like, the two main leads, they're not singer. Like they're not
No.
they're not very good. Even Ella Bonham Carter, like she's incredible. Like she's an incredible actress, and I do think that like her now ex-husband knows the director like no one else. So he knows how to get like see that's heavy eye acting. Like, and I think he can grab that like every single glance. He can capture that very well. But she's a fine singer. Let's face it. Like it's just that. Like,
well, I think what both Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter are doing is they kind of try and perform the songs rather than sing them. If you get what I mean, like they're not trying to sing them brilliantly. They're trying to sing them as that character would say. It's not like in Mamma Mia where like Pierce Brosnan just can't sing and it's all clear to everybody that he can't sing and it's just auto-tuned to shit. They're very much like playing a part and like the kind of the high-pitched voice works for it. So it's almost.
And yeah, I mean to round this off, going back to my memories of Halloween when I was in Greece, like Halloween still to this day, it's very much about masquerading as someone else. And I think this is why Tim Burton was such a big part of, that kind of season every year, because his universe is all about, just being ridiculous or like dead or just wearing a ridiculous wig. So it was very much about that. So I think this is why, like in my head, this is the perfect Halloween film, because you could make like an incredible costume out of Sweeney Todd or Mrs. Lovett and just.
I mean, you could do a whole series on Tim Burton just because of his that auteur kind of style of pastels and dark colors and
which I have
things
many many strong opinions on, and I do feel like Sweeney Todd is probably the last good film of his
canon.
The cul-de-sac.
I can't even think of a film of his that I've seen in the cinema after Sweeney Todd.
Dark Shadows.
No, didn't see it in the cinema. Didn't bother.
Alice in Wonderland probably was.
Didn't bother.
Yeah, so there are a few that are just with the same trio, and it's just like really not working. So I like to think of this as the end of an era in a way of good Tim Burton.
It's
films.
making me. It's really so. I'm gonna have to go home and watch it again. I think.
Yeah.
I just really enjoy it. Or maybe I'll listen to the soundtrack on the way home. Sing about Mrs. Lovett and slitting people's throats on the tube. That'll definitely not get me arrested.
Okay, I think we got 3 solid recommendations for people for Halloween. Just in time, you have more than a week. So get on it. We will be back in 2 weeks, just like always. And we're probably going to be back with a film that is very dear to us. It's called Little Miss Sunshine, and we've all watched it. And I don't know, sometimes you get to watch a film that means a lot to you when you're not feeling 100%. So we're really excited to talk about that and probably, many more around that topic. Like always, you know what to do at this point if you're still listening. Go to Spotify or Amazon Music or wherever you're listening to our podcast, subscribe and leave a review. We will see you in 2 weeks. Goodbye.
Happy Halloween.
Did you like it? Did you like that?
Did I like it? I loved it.
I had no idea you could milk a cat.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.